the guitarist that kind of got me into 8 strings. I mean, like, I didn't know why I needed an 8 string, but then like when I saw Tosin have his 8 string, I'm like, yeah, I have to have that. You know? Yeah.
What kind of 8 do you have at home?
It's actually, oh, just give me a second, I'll just go grab it. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Nice. Well, we're comparing our 8 strings here.
Yeah.
So I've got this headless guitar. It's by this Chinese brand called GOC. So I think the owner is American-born Chinese, but then the factory is actually based in China. So, but it's an amazing tool. I mean, I played Mayonnaise, I played PRS, I've played Jake's guitar. I mean, I have Jake's guitar, and this is cool. This is sick. I mean, in terms of value, this packs a ton. Like, you know, I got it for just, I think, £700. So that's like maybe $800-900.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe a little.
Yeah. So, and it's like the quality you get on this is just crazy. Yeah. So, but then, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out like why I need the 8 string. But then, like when I saw Tosin's videos and his guitar, I'm like, yeah, I have to get like an 8 string. You know. So that's why I have this. Yeah. So, like, what about yours though? Like, when do you actually use your 8 string? I know it never leaves the house, but then
it does when we play 8 string songs on tour. Like, this is the only. No, I have 2 8 strings.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, yeah, I have 2 8 strings. One is an Aristides. I have a purple Aristides over there.
Yeah.
That's 8 string, and this was something that I mean, PRS has really only made, I think, maybe 13 or 14 8 strings ever, and this was their first or second 8 string they ever made, and this is very precious to me. We were recording Juggernaut. We wrote a song called 22 Faces. For 22 Faces, you know, I think it was one of the first singles we released from the album, and so we needed to play it live. And I did not have an 8 string. Like, I just didn't. I was using a bunch of Mishas and Jakes at that point. And I asked PRS if they would build it, and it took them a year or so. And they finally made this 27-inch scale length. They got Seymour Duncan Alpha Omega pickups in there with covers on them, hip shot knobs. It's taken quite a beating. Places, again, we toured everywhere with it. We started playing 22 Faces with it, Four Lights, Stranger Things, and yeah, I mean, Periphery 3 didn't have any 8 string songs on it. Periphery 4 didn't have any on it. So maybe one of these days, I think, you know, we've talked about doing another Periphery record where we bring back the 8 strings, and I would love to put this to use more. Yeah, I would love to.
Nice. How does it feel though? Like, I mean, I'm not sure if you know this, but then this is actually like it's actually a multi-scale. So like you can see like there's like a slight angle. So yeah, the same with this as well. So I mean, I kind of find that I really like the fact that it's a multi-scale, because like it's 25.5 here, and like it's actually 27.5 on top, which is perfect. In fact, I would have this as 28 just to get a little bit more tension. But then, like, how does it feel to have like an 8 string that's like fully 27 inches?
Feels great. Yeah, I've played 8 strings before that were longer, and I've played 8 strings that were, believe it or not, shorter in scale than 27 inches. But this is the sweet spot for me, and this is my world, you know, like thinking about scale lengths and string tension and how they relate to the tunings that we're in. But 27's always been the perfect sort of 8 string scale for me. And I've played multi-scale, like the Strandberg stuff I think is really awesome. And I played some of the multi-scale, like what they have I think I played a Strandberg 8 before, but a 7. I've definitely played the sevens, and I do think it feels really cool playing a multi-scale guitar. I don't know, for me, I would just like the way the 27 felt, you know? Like once I find something that feels natural, it's very tough to get me to leave it, which is why I'm such a creature of habit. You know, I play the same guitars over and over and over again. A lot of people say, "Why do you only play your PRS SE on stage?" I'm like, I got used to it, and I just like the way it feels, and you know, leave me alone.
It makes a lot of sense. But like, so what sort of string gauge do you use on your 8 then? Like, I mean, we're not supposed to, it wasn't part of the plan to go into the that much detail when it comes to gear, but then now that we're at it, like, it's a bit difficult to stop. So, so it's 27. So what's the string gauge you're using?
The answer is I forget. But you know what? It's easy to find out. It's just the Diodario NYXL 8-string set. So if you like just Google NYXL, whatever gauge that is, I mean,
that's the one you're using.
That's the one I'm using. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
The standard. We're not changing the tuning on the 8 at all. It's the only guitar that we just tune standard on, top to bottom. So F sharp to E.
Yeah. Yep. That's kind of useful as well, actually. I think mine's like an EA. So it's like the top 2 strings are dropped to match the 6th and 5th string.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So it's kind of So awesome. Nice to see your 8. Not many people get a chance to see that thing up close.
Yeah, hopefully you'll see it on tour soon.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I can't wait to see you guys live again, actually. So anyway, speaking of gear, so that brings us to like the next question. So obviously we know how good the Alpha and Omega sounds. So I think you made a very good point when you said that pickups need to inspire, or rather your gear needs to be able to translate what you have in your head into sound in order to continue to inspire you in terms of writing, because obviously a bad sounding pickup would just kill whatever inspiration you have, and then you may think that it's a bad idea, but actually it's not. It's just that the guitar sounds bad. So I think that's like a very good point that you made about having really good pickups. So you explained a lot in many of your workshops, and I think I pretty much watched all your videos at work. All right, I was listening because you've done a lot of PRS workshops. So I've heard, I think, probably all of them. So you mentioned a lot of times about how what the developing process was like, going upstairs, downstairs, and with Keith there as well. But what I really wanted to ask is, in terms of the starting point, how did you decide on the direction you wanted to head towards when this all started? For example, I mean, when we're talking about your pickups here, a chef can act like, so for example, a chef can cook something in the kitchen based on what he or she has in the kitchen. The ingredients will inform him of what he or she wants to cook. Or the other approach is to start from scratch, to make a firm decision to decide what sort of theme on what he or she wants to cook, and then go out there and get the material. So in your case with Seymour Duncan, was it a case of picking out what was already available, or was the approach starting from scratch?
For me, I wanted the process to be about starting from scratch with Seymour Duncan, with everything that I built, really, with PRS and Seymour Duncan, from the guitar to the pickups to even the pedal, the Dark Sun, is for instance, with the pedal, they asked me, like, where do you want to start from? What's your starting point? And I was like, I don't know, man. Let's get into a room and let's just find some sounds that we like. Let's come up with something cool and new. And the same went for the pickups. Is I know what I'm looking for, and I think your chef comparison is like, I know the types of the flavors that I want. Like I know what I'm going for in terms of the qualities of a metal tone that I'm looking for. Like I like to be like very expressive and very articulate and clear, and just have a ton of attack and not sacrifice any clarity in the process. And I knew all of those things. And there's also a level of it too where I can't verbalize how I want it to sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it has this quality that I can identify by ear, and that's the thing that I'm going for. And I think, you know, everything that I had played up to that point in my life um, got closer and closer to hitting that as I found out what I liked more in certain types of gear. Um, Same thing goes with guitars too. You know, like you pick up a Strat, you know, and you say to yourself, wow, I like the way this fretboard feels, but I don't like the bridge. So you go find a guitar where you do like the bridge, or you like the way it sits on your wrist, but you don't like the neck. And it's just like you always take this inventory of characteristics and traits in the gear that you like over time. And I think a lot of it is just time and experience and being open to things, you know. This is the problem with obsessing over specs over the internet, and it's one of my problems with guitar culture in general is these people on forums who are like, you know, anything that's not a 20-inch radius is dog shit, you know, or like if it's not multi-scale it's dog shit, or if it's not compound radius it sounds terrible. It's like, whoa, like how much experience do you have? Like if you are a guitar player, if you play guitar, if that is your art, your craft, your medium, whatever you want to call it, you have to realize that there's more things out there than just multi-scale, compound radius, trapezoidal fretboard, 8-string guitars. You know, like pick up a Strat. There's magic in a Strat. There's magic in a Tele. There's magic in a Les Paul if you allow it to be, if you allow it to give you that impact. There's a reason that these guitars are popular. You know, there's a reason that a Strat is the most popular guitar on the planet. And there's value to be learned from all that kind of stuff. So yeah, those tastes are kind of just accumulated over time. And with these companies, when it came to developing gear, it was just taking all the qualities that I liked and honing it to something that I could use for what I do, you know, for what I write.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. So it's basically starting from scratch and then slowly putting bits and pieces of what you liked from other stuff, you know, together to form your ideal pickup then. Okay, so then the next question I have is actually the difference between the 6 and 7, because Jake explained that, you know, even though his pickups are called the Titans, the 6, 7s, and 8s, they sound fairly different because they were developed in like different times and they kind of accommodated like different needs at different times. So when it comes to your pickups, I know, like, you know, your description of your pickups is that it has the clarity of, you know, of the high strings, and then it does have like a caveman growl on the lower strings. So is that the same for both the 6 and 7? Exactly.
Yeah. And the 8s too, like they sound different. They do. And again, it's because we're accommodating for a completely different instrument. So of course there are going to be inconsistencies, or I want to say differences, not inconsistencies, because the main objective is the same in all three of those pickups, the 6, 7, 8s. It's just to have that really fierce attack, and you know the sound. You know, I don't have to explain anymore the sound that we go for, while also having, you know, that other side of things, the clarity and all that harmonic content intact. So yeah, the same is true across the board for the 6, 7, and 8s. And yeah, any differences you hear will be because you have it in a completely different instrument. But yeah, all 6, 7s, and 8s in my house, except for like I have a Telecaster here that doesn't have that pickup set, but everything else has those pickups in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's like a testament to like that's to testify how much you love the Alpha Omegas, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, we've talked about doing another set of pickups. It's like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, but there's not really anything that I would change about these. You know, I've been using these now for like 7 years. Like, why would I change? And I'm happy. Like they've evolved with my sound over the years, and I find them to be the best sounding thing that I've played. And yeah, I don't have any reason to want to change anything about it, you know.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I think it's just like a good song, no? I mean, if it's well written, it will last for years. So similar to gear, if it's I mean, if the initial thought process and designing process was like a thorough one and one that was done with a lot of attention to detail, I think you get product that lasts you like 10 years. And I think this pickup will probably go for at least another 10 years. I mean, we've seen pickups go for like 20, 30 years, and I don't see, why not for, the Alpha Omega. So yeah. I'm actually guilty of not having tested those out yet. I told Jake that his pickups are like my favorite ever. I've like declared that. So, but I am actually eager to test yours out because yeah, I think it is something that I have to hear to actually believe, because I mean, obviously I have like a bunch of friends who have your pickup, and then most of the people who got your pickup literally swapped out all the guitars for the pickups on the guitars for the Alpha Omegas, because it's like they don't see the need for others, unless you're looking for something different, like Fishman's, which is kind of like developed for a different purpose, to have more voicings. But yeah, so I've never heard anything bad about Alpha and Omega. So props to you for designing such a amazing product.
I hope you like when you eventually get to try them out. I hope that it suits your taste.
Yeah, well, depending on what DiMarzio says, I might actually have like I might actually try to get your 8s to put on mine. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know if that happens.
Please do.
I will. Okay, so you briefly spoke about Dark Sun. So it is an amazing pedal with all the banks it has, like and also you have the features like the trail and things like that. That makes it like a atomic weapon. It's just crazy how much that pedal actually packs. So the only question I have for that is, I mean, there's no doubt about how well designed it is and what a great product it is. But what's your take when it comes to recording with that pedal? Because let me explain why I'm asking this. Because obviously with a plugin, if you change your mind, you can actually tweak things. You can change the delay, you can change the time to dotted or a quarter or half. But then when you track with a pedal, if you regret your decision, there's no turning back. Yeah. So what's your take? I mean, would you record with the Dark Sun or?
Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple ways to look at it. What you're saying is totally correct. Like, if you track with a pedal, you can't go back and redo the delay times or anything like that. But, and this is cool specifically when it comes to layering things and adding, ambient parts to your music, is that's where I love to use pedals. When it comes to recording sort of like the foundation of a song, like let's say you have a clean riff that you want to use a pedal on, you got to be damn sure that you're not ever going to change the tempo of that, or want to go back and tweak the delays or try and dial back the reverb or something like that. Like you're going to be in trouble. So when it comes to that, you have to be very certain that you want to print that sound to whatever recording you're using. And if you're not certain, then yeah, use a plugin. Use a plugin or take a DI so you can go back and reamp whatever tone. Yeah, but where I love using pedals and where we love using pedals, especially on Periphery records, and Misha's really good at this, is he loves to just take a bunch of pedals, and when we're going and doing layering, is just go back over the song and just sprinkle in ideas that sometimes you can't even hear. You just feel, these textures, this ambiance over songs that is very unique and is really only specific to a certain part or two. So that's a big part of our music too, is taking these pedals, lining them up after the songs are recorded, after the songs are basically almost done, and then going back, and we call it spice racking song. So it's just like sprinkling spices on top. That's where pedals really come in handy for us. A band that like is so Axe Effects centric,
Yeah, that's kind of true. I never That's kind of surprising because everyone knows that you guys use X effects all the time, and it's interesting to hear that that spice racking technique, because it makes a lot of sense to do that after as well. I mean, for a lot of people, obviously that's like kind of safe-ish as well, because you don't really do a lot of damage to the original tracks, which can be tweaked, etc. So so good advice on that. I'm gonna try doing that, because like that's the dilemma that I've been having, and I'm sure a lot of people have the same problem to actually. I mean, we have pedals, but do we actually track with them or not? So
you know what I find just as valuable is having a pedal to track with, just even more valuable. And this is the reason I developed the Dark Sun with Duncan, is because I wanted something. Remember how I was talking about noodling? Earlier, how I find the noodling just as important as the act of recording an idea, because that's where the ideas come from, is the noodling. I wanted something that was conducive to that, something that would you plug into, and you instantly feel this like, oh man, this sounds good. And when you have that feeling, the ideas tend to flow a little bit easier. And that's why I always say it's like, have a good delay or reverb pedal somewhere in your pedal board, because if you like clean tones, and if you are inspired by that kind of thing, having a good reverb, doesn't even have to be my pedal, it can be any pedal, as long as it has a good delay or a good reverb or a looper or something like that, something that that sort of pulls the ideas out a little bit easier, that'll get you out of your normal way of thinking about writing music. I think that's a really valuable tool. It's just for the creative side of it, not even tracking, just writing.
Yeah, that's true. It all comes down to what inspires you when you noodle. I think it's a similar concept to having a good set of pickups. You need something that sounds good, that inspires you to keep writing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Despite the fact you're noodling, I think one way or another, deep down inside, you hope that something comes out of all that noodling as well. Yeah. So it helps when you have like good gear to do that with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. That's good. That's a good tip. Thanks for sharing all that. So before we head to the last part, I have to just ask, once